This cannot be possible.
I know. It may literally be the most underrated chess opening of all time.
They're huge. They're huge dangers. Like, there's also danger of like some knight g5, bishop c4, and you just like lose the game immediately.
I actually think this is a garbage opening. I don't know.
Garbage opening?
God help them.
In this video we learn how to play the Philidor defense, make two chess masters eat their words, witness a devastating checkmate, and learn how to defeat your opponents using
bait.
e4, e5, knight f3, and in this position, instead of going for the common well-studied lines of the Italian or fried liver attack, we play d6 instead. This is the Philidor defense. As early as move 3, most of your opponents are already out of their comfort zone and they will insist on playing an Italian or fried liver style. This is exactly what makes the Philidor defense a deadly weapon. But first, Legal's made is an early lethal Philidor defense trap for white that you absolutely have to know. In this position, bishop g4 is the move white is praying you fall for, and it looks good. I mean, it develops a piece, pins the knight to the queen, but after knight c3, knight c6, h3, bishop h5, white plays a seemingly impossible move. Knight takes e5, do not jump for joy because you take queen, 2 moves later, you break screen. To avoid this humiliation, we play the special knight f6 instead. Now, what's so special about this move? Well, this move is our bait. Yes, we let them play the move they are itching to play. Knight g5, but similar as it may look, this is not the fried liver attack and white will very soon find out. d5 temporarily sacrifices a pawn and closes the bishop's view of f7. Pawn takes e5 is the most played move in this position, but believe it or not, the second most common move, bishop takes e5, loses on the spot. Because knight takes, pawn takes, and the knight finds itself exposed on g5. Queen takes, winning a piece, but after d4, instead of taking the pawn and losing your screen, simply take this pawn, and while your opponent suffers, use the chat box to give him a few pleasant words of encouragement. But in this position, d5 pawn takes is the most common and the most critical move to study. It's amazing to think that all the deadly traps and tricks that lie ahead are all tied to this knight here. Let's call him Donald. Relax. I'm joking. Anyway, h6 knight retreats, and in this position e4 sets a devastating trap. The first of many we will see today. Knight e5 is white's best fighting response, but first let's look at knight d4. I know we're down a pawn, but patience, faith. Play bishop d6 and watch your opponent's castle to their deaths. It's beautiful. A bishop sacrifice out of nowhere. King takes, knight check, king back, queen h4, and how on earth can black defend this checkmate? Comment down below. So after e4, white's best move is knight e5. We respond with the tricky queen e7 move, and the knight has nowhere to go. Statistically, black wins a whopping 70% of the time in this position because white has to make a choice between 3 moves. Good, bad, and awful. Are you noticing a pattern? In every step of the way so far, white has to find that one correct engine move or it all falls apart faster than my last relationship. How many correct moves can you find in a row? In an opening you've never studied before? How about 0? Unless, of course, you're one of these guys. In which case, subscribe, and let us know what's going on with the handshakes. Horrendous. Anyway, white has a choice to make here. Let's look at the worst move first. Bishop b5 check is played to create a safe square for the knight on c4. Now this is me again asking for a little bit of faith. King d8. Yes, weird as it looks, after knight c4, we play bishop g4 and it's game over. Yes, the traps seem to come out of nowhere. This is the Philidor defense. Now how about f4 defending the knight? Simple, we remove the defender. How? Witchcraft, that's how. Watch closely. And the defender is gone. d4 protects the knight again, and after you take this pawn, white is in clear shambles. Perfect. That leaves the stubborn d4 move. At the end of this video, I will show you how to avoid a deadly trap that white may try on move 2. Make sure you stick around so you don't miss out. Anyway, you guessed it. We make the defender disappear again, and after f4 take the pawn, queen takes, and then develop the knight, threatening to take twice on e5. Queen protects, and the plan here is simple. Trade this knight for the bishop as soon as you can, maintain pressure on Donald, develop your pieces, hide your king, and then target these weak pawns at the center. Keep in mind that it's very rare for your games to get to this point. 90% of your opponents in an unfamiliar opening lose their patience, lash out, and lose their pieces way earlier than this. Discomfort breeds blunders. To demonstrate this, let's look at some brutal example games. But first, let's do a quick recap of the moves. When things aren't going your way, lashing out is almost never a good idea. Here's why. I swear 13 to 1600 is the most violent rating range in chess. Brutal. Now on to the final game. A machine-like focus on white's central weaknesses is how this Philidor apprentice quietly sweeps aside a 1700 plus. Let's watch. Now since you stayed this long, here is a bonus trap and a picture of a cute little baby pig. You may have been wondering, what if your opponent does not play knight g5 and avoids all our deadly traps? What if white simply develops his pieces, castles his king and goes for a normal game? Well, firstly, this is a very safe and solid position to have as black, and that's a good thing. Our plan is to play c6 b5 a5, gaining space on the queen side. Find good squares for your pieces. Maintain your composure. Do not lash out. Do not attack prematurely, and statistics have black winning 53% of the time in this position. I'll take those odds. And secondly, this c6 move. Yes, this harmless looking c6 move is weirdly deceptive. It's devious. Why? Well, depending on your move order, you will be surprised how many of your opponents choose to place their bishop on e3 at some point. Thanks to c6, this loses a piece immediately after d5 d4. And I don't think you're a bad person if you enjoy your opponent's misery a little bit. Right? Finally, white's most lethal trap on move 2 is d4. And believe it or not, after knight d7 protecting the pawn and bishop c4, all the moves you have in mind for black in this position lose brutally one way or another. I will teach you how to deal with this move more thoroughly in the next video. You know what to do to not miss out on the video. But in the meantime, I won't hang you out to dry, so as soon as you see d4, just capture it and play a fairly safe position. Develop normally, like and subscribe because I'm itching to teach you more and more traps. Get your king safe and play on the queen side. Playing the Philidor is like leading your opponent through a dark, dense jungle filled with snares and booby traps. But only one of you has the map. Let me know what opening you play down below because loads more videos are coming. But first, promise you won't use these tricks and traps for evil. Stay safe out there.